Hi guys, I wanted to do a follow-up video on the Pell Games video that I did last week, just because no single video I've made has gotten as much feedback in terms of private messages and questions. It was really just one throwaway line where I said that sometimes I use a boxing punch call-out counter to kind of randomize the Pell work a little bit. I got lots of questions on one line in a video, so that was kind of interesting. So the way I do it is I have my target set up and I have the boxing caller set up on the phone. I'm going to play a little clip for you here in a minute. But I just wanted to talk about how much I use it and how I use it. So I don't do this super often. I don't think it's the best use of your time on the Pell. I do actually think that kind of grooving the mechanics that you're working on is more important. Making sure that you are flowing well between things. When you have random call-outs, especially if you're rushing to keep up with the numbers, then that kind of forces you to maybe sometimes lurch between stuff. So if you're still working on mechanics, the call-out drill is not the drill for you. If you're trying to learn a new motion, don't try to do that. What I do use this for is just making myself do some things I wouldn't necessarily do. Like I wouldn't necessarily always do 1-3-1-1, for example. But you still want to use a lot of the Pell concepts that we've talked about before. So the transitions between the shots are just as, if not more important than the actual shots. So if, for example, you hear 1-3-6, do not go 1, reset, 3, reset, 6. That's not flowing between the numbers, and there's no benefit to that other than just practicing throwing a 1, throwing a 3, throwing a 6. So you're still trying to figure out how to transition between the numbers. So if the punch caller calls out 1-1-1, I'm not just throwing 3 flat snaps, boom, boom, boom. I might go lead edge, back edge, rolling kind of forward edges as I leave. Or I might shift all to the left or shift all to the right, or I might change my footwork. So those transitions, learning how to get to targets from other targets is still the goal. We're just learning how to do that with a little bit of the randomized input. It can make it a little bit more fun if you're finding you're getting stagnant. It can force you to keep a higher pace. The punch app that I like to use actually, I can control how intensely, meaning how quickly it feeds me combinations, so that's really nice. Just make sure that you are doing things that would happen in a fight. I'm not a big fan of calling out combinations. So I don't like, for example, I wouldn't program something to be offside wrap thrust. Why are you doing that? The point is that you're being fed feedback, or really you're being fed input, and then your sword work is the feedback. If you're trying to make your Pell work more interactive, I highly recommend you think of it more like shadow boxing, where you're pretending there's an actual opponent. So I think it's more useful to do things like onside, parry the likely return, offside, parry the likely return, back to the onside, step out. So if we're equating this to boxing, certainly when I was boxing, my coach would call out combinations on the pads, or if it was a bigger class, we were on the heavy bag. But shadow boxing, thinking about an actual engagement with an opponent and trying to move like you're actually fighting somebody, is more useful than just hitting randomized counters on punches on a heavy bag, for example. So do this sometimes. This is maybe 5% of my Pell work. It's a game. It is not necessarily the best modality for training, but I got so many questions about it that I thought I would address it a little bit, and then I'm gonna attach the 1-minute clip of me doing it just so you can see kind of what it looks like and how I move. But again, I don't do combinations. The numbers are targets. They're not particular strikes. So there's no number that means a wrap or number that means an offside. They're just targets I'm trying to hit. So if I get 1-1-1, it could be a thrust, an onside, a back edge. It could be a crossed arm back edge. I could do a shift into the left, to the right, to the back. It's about how I get to that target from there. So try to keep those things in mind if you do decide to play with this Pell work game. But remember that the bulk of your Pell work really should be working on fundamentals and mechanics. And if you're trying to learn mechanics, don't try to add randomized input to it. It's just going to force you to try to catch up, and your mechanics are actually going to suffer.
2 1-2-5-2 3-4 1-2 1 6 1 6 2 3 1 6 5 1 2 2 2 3 1 1 1